Today we're looking at a vintage Wyvern Starter pack, straight out of the 90s. Now this was a pretty popular game at its time. I played it back when it first came out, and I really liked it. I actually liked this one better than Magic at the time. But a lot of people wouldn't play because they became Magic obsessed, and that one seemed to catch on more for some reason. Some of the rules here didn't make a whole lot of sense, but they were trying to start with nothing. They didn't have any templates to work with of other games, so they were just kind of throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. The interesting thing is a lot of the dragons in here are based off of actual mythological dragons. So it's not just some random stupid name they made up. It's something that had existed in folklore and legend long before that. And I actually was interested in that. I thought it was very appealing to younger players to see dragons that they could read more about other places. So it had a certain level of appeal on that. Plus, I thought it was a fun game. I haven't played it in ages, but let's see what's inside. The starter decks were, as I recall, randomly assorted. Let me read the back to you here. These were originally $7.95, and now you can pick them up for about the same price. I think I paid $2.50 for this one because I bought a whole bunch of them, a bunch of different stuff together, and I got a big discount because the guy wanted to unload these. I actually got two of these. We're only going to open one. I will open the other one at some point because I want to do a demonstration of how this is played, but we'll see how that plays out. Cards are common, uncommon, rare, and ultra rare. As I recall, these are randomly inserted. Now, an interesting historical note. According to rumor and legend of the time, there are error cards because these were printed at the same factory that did Magic the Gathering. I believe it was in Belgium or somewhere. And the factory screwed up and printed Magic cards on the Wyvern decks. So you'll see the back of the Wyvern card, but a Magic front. And supposedly these cards exist. I've seen them advertised for sale, but I've never actually physically up close seen one. So it might be just a rumor. But supposedly I believe it was Fallen Empires was out at the time. And those were printed with the backs of these cards. So let's get into this, because now I'm just rambling on about historical footnoting that I doubt anybody cares about. But if you ever come across those cards, they are still worth some money, I'm sure. Somebody that's really into Magic would probably be interested in having those for the semi-historical aspects. Oh, that opens easily. I like that. Ooh, they're sealed. That's nice. Oh, the box held up pretty well. I like the box logo and art too. That's the back of the card, and supposedly, like I said, it was these backs with a Magic card on the front. And you can see they're kind of similar style and layout, so it's probably was an easy mistake to make for the person making them because they weren't playing the games. They didn't know the difference, and it was probably just somebody put the wrong template on. But if we're super lucky, maybe we'll find one. And if we do, I'm going to retire to Tahiti with all my winnings. Or at least in my head I will. Alright, where's the perforation to open this? Watch me screw around for 10 minutes trying to open a pack of cards. That's, I'm sure, riveting entertainment. Alright, the rule book is hidden inside the... You can see in the crack there, maybe. If I don't get a reflection from the overhead, you can see the rule book is tucked away in the deck, so that you don't have it come out in the box or have somebody rip it off. Because these were sealed, but I'm sure there's a way somebody would try and steal it. So, just to be a jerk. Alright, we just do it the brute force way. Alright. They smell a little musty from being in there for so long. Alright, there's my rule book. Let's see what we got here. Wyvern, the Game of Dragons, Dragon Slayers and Treasures. Created by Mike Fitzgerald. Illustrated and designed by Peter Prokownik. I'm butchering that, I apologize. Under the guidance and direction of Terry Donaldson, revised. This is the revised edition, apparently. It says limited edition on the box. It says revised edition on the rulebook. Go figure. The rulebook's pretty small, straightforward. It's a whopping 23 pages with contact information. So it's a pretty simple game, because that's a tiny little book. Let's see what we got here. We've got a dragon. Another dragon. That's Mount Chung. Mushushu. I'm not even going to try and pronounce some of these because I'm just going to butcher them horribly, and I don't think anybody wants that. There's some terrain. So the dragon. Lots of dragons. Python. Ea. Oh, there's some ruins. And each of these have different symbols on them. I believe that's the cost, or the amount it gives you, and then it has a description on what it can and can't do. There's the Midgard Serpent. Hydra. Well, they are marked with the usual symbols for common and uncommon, it looks like. Well, there's a Dreyer Slayer action with Jason from the Argonauts. A treasure. Another action card. Another action card. Some more terrain. A battle action. Terrain. Treasure. Dragon Slayer action. Terrain. Treasure. The art's not too bad. It's pretty simplistic. But it matches that of the time. It wasn't known in the 1990s if this was going to be a big thing or not. I mean, the cards say 94 at the bottom. So they really didn't know if this type of thing was going to catch on and become what it, how big it was a couple years later. I mean, this really blew up in the 90s. But a lot of people that got into the cards went out of business real fast because the market kind of crashed. Well, there's a firebolt. And this game, unfortunately, was one of the casualties. It did have some boosters. I believe 2 booster expansions. There was a Kingdoms one and a Phoenix one that I remember. Kingdoms might have just been a reissue, though. But it did have some expansions. And it was kind of in that same area as, like, Galactic Empires. Oh, wow, a lot of actions. Gold find. There's another dragon. So, I mean, it was popular in its day, but it didn't have the stamina of Magic. I think there were probably some rules problems that weren't addressed, and it probably wasn't play tested well enough. But a lot of people were rushing to get stuff out. This was one of the better ones, in my opinion. This one and Jihad were ones I played exclusively for a long time. A lot longer than many other games. And eventually Magic kind of took over and people lost interest in this one. There's a lot of action cards. It started off with a lot of dragons, but now there's a lot of actions. Some are battle actions, some are dragon slaying actions. Well, there's Beowulf. Yeah, pretty good little assortment of cards. Ooh, Secret Treasure. Now let's see in the rulebook here if it denotes the rarity. It does not. So basically, this is what the deck looks like that you would get. Apparently you'd get, probability-wise, a lot more action cards, but there's a fair number of dragons here that we got in this one. Let's see, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 dragons in this deck, and only a handful of terrain, which kind of surprised me. Yeah, 7 terrain. But you got a decent number of treasure cards, and a whole bunch of actions. A lot of them are duplicates, but the treasure cards are pretty cool. There's a lot of those. So, and there were a lot of cards in this set. As I recall, there's over 200. Yeah, let's glance at these real quick. Yeah, this is card number 211. So that gives you an idea how big the set for this was. And since you're getting a fair number of cards in this box, it's pretty good odds you're going to get some decent stuff. And you get quite a bit for $8 in this. So if you're looking for an alternative to Magic, but a similar sort of feel, this might be a good game for you. Because it's familiar, but it's something slightly different, almost a variation, with a dragon theme. And yeah, I really liked this game years ago. I'm curious to see how much I would like it now, and if the rules were as clunky as they seemed to be at the time. But I'm a lot pickier now than I was back then as far as entertainment goes, but I still have a fondness for this game, and the art is very early 90s card art, but it definitely has that Magic the Gathering kind of impression to it, and if you like that, you'll probably like this. So that's the Wyvern deck, and no Magic the Gathering cards misprints, unfortunately. Again, that might just be a rumor that was around in the 90s, but it's always something to look out for. So, Wyvern, a classic vintage game from a little artifact from the 90s, if you will. So, if you get a chance to play it, I recommend it. I'm going to play it again, because take my recommendation with a grain of salt, because that's 90s nostalgia probably. So maybe we can make a video about how to play this, and you can laugh at us trying to fumble through it. Alright, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks again for listening to my rantings, and we hope to catch you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.